Thank you, Roz. Thank you, Reverend Juanita. Thank you all. Hello. I was moved by the music and all that I could say in those moments just before coming up here was, Spirit, speak as me. I usually joke around that I prepare a talk and then life happens. You know, the best plans, right? And it is indeed very interesting to be steeped in spirit and then to relax and take it easy, but like to really relax and take it easy. Like in this moment, literally, I have no clue the next words that are gonna come out of my mouth. That's how present I am. It can be quite nerve-wracking. And yet it's also quite comforting to know that Spirit is moving as me in this moment. So Seal Beach Center for Spiritual Living, or Center for Spiritual Living Seal Beach, this year has been following the theme of everyday wonder. And the month of December has been on community. And so all of the talks throughout the year have followed a particular theme. And this month, that theme of community, especially no mistake, right, Marjorie, that you're looking at community and looking at other communities and looking at how we collaborate and how communities come together and how we do our thing and they do their thing and then we do our thing together. So it's no coincidence. It is always divine timing. And that's why I talk about trusting Spirit and just kind of really being in the flow and being super present, because here we are the whole month of December talking about community. Even the songs are about community and coming together and how we are with family and friends. Today's talk is Ode to Joy. As it relates to community. So I get to work with that. I get to kind of go, okay, Ode to Joy. How am I going to make that fit community and living everyday wonder for the whole year theme, right? And, fortunately, I've had some help with some writers and people that have given me some wonderful and amazing ideas, and then I get to make it my own. So an ode is a lyrical poem that is meant to be sung. I also looked up that Ode to Joy is the 9th Symphony of Beethoven. Yeah, go figure, right? It's like we're going way, way, way back to Beethoven. And a voice, my voice, your voice, if we can speak, we could sing. I know many of you don't think you can. And I know you try in the shower. I heard you this morning as I was just astro surfing. But a voice that can talk is a voice that can sing. And then when we have more than one voice, we have a choir. If we have an instrument, we can play a song, like the piano, right? But when we have many instruments playing together, we have an orchestra. So I want us to begin to think and imagine community as being the same. Musically, in that voices that come together in a choir are not all the same. We have the baritones and the sopranos and the altos and the super altos. Is that even a thing? They sound like a super alto or super soprano, right? Because they're way, way up there. But there are groups that do their thing within a choir, and when they're doing their thing and the other group, the tenors or the baritones or the altos or the sopranos, when each of those groups are doing their thing and coming together, it's the choir. So I'm wondering what our ode to joy, our lyrical poem to joy, is today in 2022. That poem that is meant to be sung, that is meant to be played in an orchestra, and all of the moving parts. When I think about an orchestra, I think of not only, piano, but there's the cymbals that come in every now and then, right? And there's the stringed instruments and the horn instruments, and what other kind of instruments are there? Steel drums, percussions, the shakers. I wonder who you are in community. Are you the steel drum? Are you the tambourine, the flamboyant one? Are you the drum, bum, 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 or the one that keeps the rhythm? Now, all of these instruments and all of these voices can actually go awry. In other words, when we're not in harmony and when we're not in sync and when the notes kind of clash, we have conflict. Not only in music, but we have conflict in community. And it's important to recognize where we start in our own ode to joy as this spiritual community. Are those conflicts joyous? Is the discomfort joyous? Well, it depends what happens and what you do with it. As we think about coming together, sometimes people come together in families or they come together in groups, and there's always that cousin, right? That's just like so different and so odd or just kind of weird. And how am I in community? Whether it's my family, whether it's spiritual community, whether it's your neighbors getting together for a tamale party, like last night in my neighborhood, we got together for a tamale party. Candle lighting, the kitchen crew, the AV crew. When you think about all of the communities that you belong to, all of the small groups that make up this larger community that you call home, your spiritual home, Seal Beach, what do you do with conflict and discord and discomfort? It's important to recognize that through our spiritual practices, that we can begin to see God individualized in everyone. You see, it's that idea of separation. Like, I'm not like my cousin over there. But it's important that through our spiritual practice, that we recognize that God is expressing itself individually as each and every person, even cousin. In my spiritual community, we used to laugh all the time. Bertha? We used to say, yeah, but you don't know my sister. It's gonna be a problem. And how do we come together when we have those feelings towards someone because they're not coming correctly? Why are they so difficult? Why they always got to bring up that time? Why are they, And so in our spiritual practice of recognizing that my life is the life of God, that when you see me, you see the unique, unrepeatable, magnificent, powerful way that God shows up in human form, and that as that is the truth of me, that is a truth for each and every one of us. But it's sometimes difficult, a little more difficult to make that connection when it's someone who is always causing problems. Or sometimes we may not want to go to that neighborhood, or we don't want to go with those people. But it's important to recognize that if we are going to write and create and sing and have an orchestra play our ode to joy, that how we handle the discomfort, how we handle the conflict is just as important as how we handle my good friend and the people that we love. Because when you have done this unto the least among us, you have done it unto me, said the Christ. So how have you treated? How have you been with those folks that we think are less than? In this time of joy, in this season where the spirits are up, and when we recognize the year is coming to an end, it is important for each of us to humanize one another and to recognize that conflict is actually an opportunity to learn and understand. Yes, it may come with a little bit of danger, meaning, tempers might rise a little bit, but it is an opportunity for understanding. My beloved Sunny Daye and I were at the farmer's market on Friday. And as we had these bags and little mellow Daye with us, kind of getting ready to go home, a woman came pushing a cart. And she saw the dog, and of course the dog is always a talking piece for connections, right? I know guys use it as a pickup all the time. Women do too. Let me not just be stereotypical. Dogs are always a great talking icebreaker. And she said, "Hey, baby." I thought she was talking to me. I was like, what am I? Chopped liver? And we struck up a conversation. This woman is in her 70s, and she lives on the streets. And she was inviting Sonny and I to come and see her over on First and Long Beach Boulevard. I live in Long Beach. She goes, "Yeah, come on by and come and see me. There's so many festivities. There's music playing, and I'm right there. Just come on over right there, First and the Boulevard and Long Beach Boulevard." She says, "I'm on the bench." I'm on the bench. She's got an ode to joy. She's got a lyrical poem of joy in her life where she's inviting me, my beloved, over to come and see about her. "What's your name?" "Oh, everybody calls me Mama." Mama. Even the police call me Mama. They know me. Sonny was putting away some change. And she says, "You got to bless Mama. You got to bless Mama with some change." And okay. "Well, what would you like?" "Do I say?" "Yes, you say. What would you like?" $20. "Okay. It's yours. Here's $20, Mama." community. Community. Simply looking out for one another. Now, I know that in our philosophy, we are taught to ask for what we want, to name it, to claim it. And yet, there are people in the world who are not at that place yet, who don't have this philosophy yet, who don't know the power of simply ask and you shall receive, that it is already given. Is she to ask for more? Gladly, more. Because I have the means today to be able to do something. And don't you know, in the next day, before I leave town, Sonny and I are going over to First and Long Beach to just see about Mama and to take her up on the invitation. And even though there's the discomfort, as she rolled away, she said, "Oh, my foot," and her feet were swollen. She didn't want anything else other than a conversation and then for us to bless her. But as we get to know her a little bit more, and I get to feel the discomfort of how I am housed and so many people are unhoused, I wonder how many of us do not include someone like Mama in our even realm of consciousness of community. You know, we sung today about looking at your neighbor and greeting your neighbor and bowing namaste to your neighbor. I remember when I was growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, we had a talk, and that talk was, who is your neighbor? Who is your neighbor? Is it really just the person next to you? Is it the person who lives in the building, or your neighbor across the street, or in the condo, or, you know, in the luxury that we live in? Is it just the people there? And Jesus the Christ taught that everyone is our neighbor. Everyone. Everyone. But am I willing to see that for myself? Beloveds, if we are here today, if you are online today, which means you have electricity, internet, funds, you know, we are so blessed. I'm wondering if there's room in our consciousness to open up just a little bit more and consider who is really in our community, who is really our neighbor. I'm wondering if we can take those times of conflict and discomfort and actually get comfortable with humanizing one another. You know, during this season, I wonder if our song, was that an original song you sang? No, okay. I know that Roz writes original music. Each of us has an ode to joy. My ode to joy was meeting Mama. I wish I knew her birth name or her name, but she wants to be called Mama, and I honor her for that and just simply call her Mama. But I wonder how many of us are willing to step into some discomfort. Oh, I don't know what to say. I feel bad because I have and they don't. And, yeah. I wonder, in the name of recognizing God living in, through, and as Mama. Mama is God. Living on the streets of Long Beach. Bringing joy, because Sonny and I walked away so joy-filled that not only because we were able to bless her, but that she was such a blessing to us, and that she was so happy to invite us to her bench. Her bench. She invited me to her bench. And so many times we think, oh, my home is not good enough for people to come. Mama invited us to her bench. Beloveds, it's not about the material. It's about the difference that we make in each other's lives. It's about the joy that we bring to one another. It is about getting beyond the discomfort and the conflict and recognizing God's unique expression as each individual. That's the symphony. That's all of the instruments working together. That is the song of joy. And I had to recognize that my idea of, wow, I wonder if I was 70 something living on the streets, would I have that much joy? Would I be inviting people to my little nook where I sleep at night? Today we have an opportunity to recognize everyone as our neighbor, to recognize that we can begin to enlarge upon our spiritual practice so that we can enlarge our community. As you begin to enter this process about even considering what community might look like on a larger scale, especially with Namaste, wow. This is what it takes. Am I willing? And who am I? And how am I showing up in community? Am I stirring the pot? Am I bringing joy? Am I being myself? Is there room for me to be myself here? Is there acceptance and inclusion? It is through our prayer work and recognizing that there are no mistakes. It's no mistake that Mama is on the bench on First and Long Beach Boulevard. That's God living on First and Long Beach Boulevard. Do not be mistaken. Do not have pity. See God. Experience God in each and every individual. That, beloveds, is the ode to joy. This message has been inspired by Spirit because, like I told you before, I had no clue what was coming out of my mouth. And I am deeply grateful for you, this community that continues to open and expand and to hear the words of Spirit being spoken in, through, and as me, and consider them as your own work, as my own work, as the work of all spiritual communities. So for this and so much more, I give thanks. The word has been spoken, and so it is.